Well, welcome back. Got more for you. I'm sitting out here on my deck and shower, just shower of information. Um, I'm being led to introduce you to the game of life. The game of life is kind of how you actually probably already perceive a game to be, is that you are a player and you are playing in the game. You have an avatar and you are going through and you are finding circumstances and either rolling the dice see what or throwing the darts to see what sticks. It is either coming to rattle you up or it's celebrating a breakthrough. And there's obviously in between uh, interactions, the people around you, the environments you're in, the social circle you have, the work that you do, and colleagues. And each one of them are playing in this game of life, unbeknownst to them, possibly unaware. And I don't want to say all of them because some of them may actually have a greater awareness than giving the assigning of level 2. I am not ignorant enough to perceive that no one else is at that status. Um, Another term I would like to use for the game of life is rules of engagement. I recently mentioned the spiritual amnesia, coming here and forgetting who you were. Uh, the sacred contract. If that resonates with you, cool. If it doesn't, I understand. It's probably going to be, what is this guy talking about? Cool, awesome. Um, what is a contract to you? What is sacred in your understanding? What is the term sacred in your vocabulary, your working input of that term? Placing that with contract. What is your working term of contract? Some will find it as in agreement to something. Others will find a contract, define the status of contract as an expectation. Expecting one to fulfill something at their expectation, while the fulfiller is trying to fill at what they think that person is expecting at, but has the limited knowledge or capacity to perform at that expectation. So they might get a review of less than stellar. They are not giving the compassion of they are still learning, and you might actually be the guinea pig that they learn a lesson out of. Life is learning lessons. In fact, one of the rules of engagement is that you get an avatar. Growing through from a small substance into a physiological form, mental form, emotional form. Uh, that is the agreement in the sacred contract or the rules of engagement to play this game of life, is you have to have an avatar. You could not experience, you could not express, you could not feel, you couldn't even use logic, reasoning, or critical thinking without this avatar, this vessel, this shell, whatever you want to call it that works for your terminology. I understand not everyone speaks the same language. The other agreement is the lessons. In life, you would receive lessons. Lessons to bring out your potential. To bring out the gift, the talent that you would bring to the world. And in that talent, it can be fashioned, it can be molded in any way that you see fit. That talent's not meant to stay within. It's meant to be shared. How you use that talent is also up to you. How that talent is received is also up to who's receiving it. Another one is that you're going to repeat those lessons. You're going to repeat the lessons until you have fully understood and learned that lesson. It's going to pop back up. So you get a circumstance in life that kind of shakes you up, kind of rattles you, or you get a circumstance that is delightful, full of expressive joy. You're still going to have to bring that to your forefront and examine it. Learn from it, express it, and share the experience of that. When you have not fully learned that lesson, another agreement in that contract is that you are going to go back through the cycle of circumstance for it to occur again. Whatever stimuli is presented, it's going to bring it out. And repeat. And repeat. And repeat again. That's not to make you feel bad. That is not to tell you that you are doing something wrong. That is to reconfirm with you that you are learning. And the lessons that you are learning is the growing. Lessons is the dirt. You grow through them. But in that capacity of learning, you have the now, which is the present moment. You also have the past, which becomes your testimony of experience to share with others. You cannot have a life experience and have a testimony to share with others that is genuine without actually going through the experience to help someone else that might go through that similar experience and not know how to navigate through the game of life. Mirrors. You are surrounded by mirrors. Nature is a mirror. Nature is an influence. Nature is an inspirer. People are mirrors. They will mirror what is in you, and you will experience it. It will come up in front of you, and you have that decision to face it, go through it, or you have the decision to attach to it, give it a negative label, and now deal with that. The mirrors, the people in your life who also have their own avatars, who have their own experiences, have their own circumstances, you are also a mirror to them. So you're going to pick up their vibration, and they're going to pick up your vibration. And when communicating, you might be saying something and it's not sinking in, so you transform your communication into the way that the person might be most receptive. But you're going to test and trial it for that person till you feel like they got your message. But in that message, you're going to probably put a little calamity in there, because it seems perceptually in your physical nature they're not listening. They're not hearing you. Take no offense to it. You're not being disregarded. Trust that you are not being disregarded. Those people that come in and mirror what you are, when you are unloving to them because they are in a position to show you what is in you, they're going to exit left or right or depart in some way out of your life. And you're going to have that snapshot of memory in your bank. And that file is going to come back out when old subconscious and conscious decide to want to do so. Remember, consciousness is above what you are perceiving. Subconscious is below the awareness of perception of what you are perceiving. Unconscious is having no awareness of what is going on. When people reflect and the message that they're serving a purpose to give that message to you isn't being received, there's going to be what's called a separation. And you will physically separate, or they will physically separate from you, but the memory of that circumstance that has been unlearned or has been unresolved is still going to be connected to that thread of person, even though they're not physically around. And it's going to come in your dreams, it's going to come in your physical life, it's going to come into a recall. Even though you've taken every physical step to separate. Life is neutral. Life is not biased. Life is what you define it as, what you give it a label as, what you hold a firm belief of it as. And life will produce as you have that belief of life being as. Answers to questions, difficult questions, answers to questions that can't seem to be answered. I mentioned before that I've tried to find different vices of an external source to answer difficult questions that I had, and though they try to provide a statement in their bank of information, could not fully answer the question. The question that rose was the desire that was within because of seeing something or experiencing something external. But the answer to your greatest question will always come from out of you. If you seek within, when you have a question, go into meditation, seek within, you will discover the answer to your question. And no matter amount of people out there will have that answer to that question. That greatest question that comes out is meant to come out of you, uniquely. You might have other people that have similar questions in that realm, but it will never have a question specifically of you coming up to be answered, because that is what you carry with you, the answer in yourself. I mentioned about the tree of life, and I took a breather and I was walking around surrounded by trees. And I was looking at it a little closer, and I noticed that every year there's a layer. So the year is finished, and you have a layer of growth and a layer of non-growth in that year. And trees grow year by year by year, and in that aspect, as it's growing, it might not have the lessons resolving at the same time. And so it's storing that, encoding that information through each one. And that information is going up through the canopy and attaching, becoming a leaf that's attached to that branch that's attached to the tree, of the trunk of the tree, down to the root system, is all connected. And that tree may have been so overexposed of such great stimuli of stress that it literally has decomposed from the inside out, and now might be a fallen tree in the creek bed in front of your house. I'm using that because there's literally trees fallen in the creek bed. But the reason why it has, other than certain circumstances of weather coming through, a tree will stand through the middle of a storm and still be fine. It means whatever the condition within that tree is at will determine whether that tree bends in the wind or breaks and falls over in the wind. The whole tree can be uprooted from the roots. But every year is a layer of growth. Just like every layer in you is a layer of growth. And you have layers like onions that need attention in a positive way. But you might have a vine of circumstance. You can have a beautiful tree, but a circumstance may come up, and we may assign that circumstance, and that circumstance becomes the vine coming up through the tree and choking off the life of that tree. So the circumstance comes in, our limited belief gives an identity to that circumstance, and that circumstance now becomes a vine within us, choking off our life support in a analogy way. I'm telling you, you are going to find a way that this connects completely. You might not have the mind of a planter, a landscaper, botanist, biologist, but it will make sense.
Shop Kroger for over 30,000 mouth-watering choices with savings beyond low prices.
Sorry about that. Apparently that was not ad-free, and I tried to put ad-free back there. Yeah, advertisement for Kroger. Don't care. Not right now. But the vine of circumstance has the capacity to choke off what good nutrients is within, depending on your limited belief, depending on your thoughts, depending on your emotional state. It can choke off the good nature that people have tried to plant in your soil. Game of life. One other sacred statement of agreement is that you would forget this as you come into the world. Because if you knew all of this, you would not genuinely learn, experience, express, and release, and become the conduit for the others to do the same thing. But instead, we started looking like everybody else, started acting like everybody else, until we all look like faceless beings, mimicking and imitating other people. And then we don't recognize ourselves. We become a stranger to ourselves, and that reflection of that stranger of ourselves shows up in the mirror of other people. Some will tell you that you don't look like you. You have a body of you, but you don't act like you. And I'm not talking about when you change into a better form. but an aspect of you comes out. An aspect that you have taken the identity of comes out of you. That isn't you. And one day someone wakes up and says, I don't know you. You're a stranger to me. Because you forgot you took on the identity of the thing that made you fit in to a social circle or a belief circle, and lived that and put it into a storage file cabinet and thought it was gone. And then it popped up. And you started acting, you started doing the behaviors of, you started doing the patterns of someone that was not familiar, in a pattern of your someone that the other person was not familiar with, and it became an unfamiliarity to them. Be careful what identities you absorb. Be careful what you try to become just to fit in. Because if it's not you, it will make you unwell. Because it's not you. You're not in alignment with something that isn't you. Or you're not in alignment with what is you, and you bring in what isn't you, and you become unwell because it's not you. Don't hold it against people that... Sorry, I had an itch on my ankle. Don't hold it against people because of the lack of knowing how to process things in a manner that is conducive to their well-being and the well-being of other people that are around them. Each person in life, they will come in and they will leave in whatever manner that they do. They will come into your life to present something before you, provide a message to you to make you aware, and will either stay to help you with it, or they will depart when they feel like they've done all they could to help you. That's not to confuse those who come in trying to take out, because they don't know better, trying to take out what is good nature within you. If you are consistently happy, consistently joyful, consistently showing expressions of that stuff, and someone else is in a state or mental state of lower vibration, they become envious of, because of the state of expression that you are in. So they look for an alternative way to try to bring you down to their level of vibration. And if you are not well equipped to guard yourself well, you will come down to that level. And that happiness, that joy that you had assigned, the authentic expression, becomes hidden behind the garbage of that lower vibration. And then you might have the face of, when that comes in, sorry, I did put my phone on silent, but of course someone wants to come in and try to interrupt. It's cool. It's fine. It will be addressed later on. This is us time. They will come in and try to rob you, and I'm using that term very specifically. I recommend you actually going and doing your due diligence of what the term rob means, robbing means, and every branch that connects to that word, to get a full understanding of what robbing means. It doesn't just have to be a physical thing. And then your face shows, your body shows a shutdown period. Because the status that you were at, you didn't even get to go back to what your normal rhythm was. Instead, unknowingly, they came through and decided you didn't deserve the opportunity to balance back out to your normal rhythm and just brought you down to that point. So now both are dealing with that, and the person may be sincerely apologetic and may not have and give the word that they did not intend for that to occur. But in the same capacity, intention is being consciously aware of what you are doing. Intention is setting a purpose. When you are subconsciously doing something or you are on autopilot reaction mode, you are not in conscious intention mode. So you cannot excuse a behavior of intention when you are not in that mode. Even if it was an unintended occurrence, there was a purpose for it to come out, for a potentiality for you and that other person to grow. You can bring up people to a level of vibration, and you can drop people to a level of vibration just with your thoughts, with your emotions, with your words. It doesn't matter if they don't have a definition of words that of power of your words. It doesn't matter if they're not very perceptive to what their words coming out of their mouth are doing, and taking that expression and dropping it. And some of you face that today. Some of you face the perception of circumstance in the game of life as that person didn't care. Because the circumstance and your limited belief in that refined it to make you feel and think irrationally of not caring. And then we assign a judgment. It doesn't matter if you say, I'm not judging someone. You are judging someone. When you assign a value to somebody, whether it's positive or negative, you are assigning a judgment of that person. I say this because I'm very passionate about how people use their words. People can use their words and be negligent of their words and not realize the effect and power of those words to either build up or tear down somebody, and have no ownership of that. And instead of take ownership of it, they may blame shift it to a circumstance of excuse. That's not taking ownership and responsibility for what a person has said. This is not to attack anybody. This is to bring to your awareness the actions that we do subconsciously in the effect that they can have on somebody. Our words, though we don't say it in verbal format, spelled out, can encourage a person to decide life is no more. Life is what it is. Life has no possibility of becoming better. And that sinks in their mind, their psychology. That sinks in their heart. It sinks into their body, creating a chemical of stress. That stress chemical now attaches to another cell in your body. And that chemical and that cell together are reproducing till it becomes a form of cancerousness. And that's the identity that you will get when you go to see a doctor, because the stress was untreated. The symptom was treated, but the stress that was introduced into your body into your mind, into your emotional field, has been unaddressed. That's why you are your own doctor. You are your own therapist. You're your own healer. You just have to shift your thoughts into the perspective that you are well. And that will push out through every means that you have the ability to release and become well. I can probably drink something and not know what's in it because I order it from somewhere. What will I do? I will take the cup. I will hold it in my hand, and I will actually pour Reiki energy into that cup because I don't know the energy of the person that was holding it when they delivered it. It's not that I don't trust them. It's that I know well enough in my own experience how hard it is to control my own emotions. How hard it is to control my own thoughts. How hard it is to rewrite a limiting belief. And it will take a hamster wheel of reoccurrence till that lesson becomes learned. Go through the game of life. That's what you are doing. You are playing a game of life. Stop taking game of life so serious. Laugh. Be joyful. The state of happiness and the state of joy is already in you. No one can bring that to you. They can take an essence of it and drop you to a different frequency, but they can never rob you of what is yours. And it's not material. So they can't steal in a physical format either. They can take aspects of you in a physical form that may introduce the idea to drop down to depression, to sadness, to frustration, to anger, disappointment. But all of those emotions, you have the choice to live. You want to live in anger? You want to live in frustration? You're not going to stay living in those. But every time you show up to somebody that is a recall of memory, that's going to come out. And the last time that they saw you and it's been unresolved will come out until it's actually resolved. But that's your health. Should I not care about your health? Should you not care about your health? Should you not care about the people that you keep around you if they're always dropping your frequency? If you are not equipped with the right amount of shielding and protecting of yourself, you will absorb everybody else's energy. And if you don't take a proper measurement or physical action to release it, you're stuck with it. It's okay to take time for yourself to make yourself better. Everything's vying for your attention. My phone just came off while trying to speak with you guys of something that is very passionate and has been flowing through my head. I refuse to give it attention. I shut it down and I bring my attention back to the intention I have set. What intention are you setting in your game of life? How do you want to play your game of life? If you want to play it a certain way, something in your thoughts, something in your emotion, and something in your body has to change. And it's going to feel scary because we typically are scared of what we don't know. Because we're taught to be afraid of the dark. We're taught to be afraid of not knowing. So we never push through the not knowing, and we go back to what we think we know. And we are stuck in that lesson that doesn't get learned. But that's okay, because everything's done in the now. So right now, you have the choice of where you want to put your mind at. You have the choice. If something comes into your purview, you have the ability to use your conscious awareness of that thing coming into your purview, of resolving and releasing in a loving manner. Don't release it at somebody. Release it out of you. And you'll start to see yourself. And people around you will start to see you change. Even in the subtlety. I started different types of nutrition. I started different types of eating. I started different types of absorbing information, practicing, applying. And to me, I thought I was still seeing the same person doing this, just filling a character. I did not see the change in me. It had to take someone else to tell me a change was occurring. And then that gave me the opportunity to either allow my subconscious and unconscious mind to give it a label of a negative thing, or give it time for my calmness to occur and allow my conscious awareness to assign it a good thing, a greater value. Because that means something that was in me that was not supposed to be part of me is now gone. That's how change works. You might not change how your face looks. You might not change the DNA of you. But how you show up in life, from what you were showing up as to what you would be showing up in the now, is the change. You have transformed into the greater person. That doesn't mean you don't have work left to do. That doesn't mean you have resolved everything that's in your file cabinet. And that file cabinet could be a very long file cabinet that needs addressing and resolving. Don't try to resolve it all in a single day. It won't work, and you will cause yourself to be unwell, because they'll keep reminding you and keep reminding you. And if you don't have a stable mind, it's not going to be beneficial for you. Take one. If you are in a state of mind to work on yourself in a loving way, and I mean work on yourself, not just take privacy and dwell on it. I'm saying work on yourself in a loving manner. Take one file, and of that one file, an aspect of that one file. When you have that file and you draw that thread to that one aspect, and you feel it's at a point of resolution, and you release it, close that file, put it back on. Because you have just released something, that means now is the time for something greater to come in. If you pull out another one after having just released and had the endorphins of releasing something that was weighing you down, and you pull another one out, that's going to bring down you again before the opportunity of potential of something greater to come in. Do it one at a time. I know you live in a world where people are going to tell you you need to do a lot more in a small amount of time. I get it. People have their own limited beliefs. People have their own ideas. They have their own historical reference box, their own file cabinets. And they're going to bring what they have in their file cabinet to you. And you're going to bring your file cabinet with. And now both file cabinets are going to have files in them that are going to proverbially box one another. Until the growth between both persons or places or things or circumstances can find a mutual resolution of greater potential to grow. Go through the dirt and you will grow. Stay under the dirt and you're not going to grow. You're going to stay right at where you're at. But I'm not the one who transforms you. I am not the one who tells you that you need to do this, because that's me deciding for you. That's me taking away your free will to choose to decide to make yourself well. I'm not that guy. I won't ever be that guy. If you're looking for me to be that guy, look elsewhere. It's not that I stopped caring about you. It's that I'm not the fit that you are probably looking for. And you can go to somebody else that will probably tell you exactly what they feel like you want to know and make you feel better. Temporarily. Till that thing comes back up and you have to readjust it. I didn't know I was going to make another video with this. I obviously know it's been 41 minutes. 42 minutes almost. But I felt like I had to get that out, because if I don't get it out, I feel like it can get scrambled longer. And now it takes longer for intuitive insight and clarity and discernment to restructure mentally without getting too attached to the emotions that might surface. And emotions have surfaced, and that means I have work to do. Just as much as you have work to do. Be at well, be at peace, love you. Remember, take time for yourself. You don't even have to explain to someone that you need to take time to yourself. They're stuck in the knowing why. They're stuck in needing to know the details. There should be nothing that pops up as an excuse to excuse you from taking care of you and your wellness. Plain and simple. Because everything else is temporary.